Why, hello there. Welcome back to the playthrough. This channel is Dragon Quest content for now. For now in the near future. Very distant future at this point. It's going to take me a while to get through this, but version 5 is our goal by March. About at the end of 4.4. There are 6 parts to version 4, but the 6th part is mostly just like, it's like the end of the RPG where you just kind of like, you do the whole final dungeon, final confrontation thing. So it's not really like a huge, probably get that done in like 2 parts or so. It's not that crazy. But I welcome to this. This is our MMO Sleep playlist, the second one, a beautiful, beautiful playlist that we have here that teaches us all about how horrible the world is. But that's what I always do. Gameplay-wise, we're just fighting some metal slimes. I use all of my experience gaining equipment and items, and we grind a little bit. And in this game, they give you 30 minutes of metal slime time every 2 hours. So I've been recording a couple of these for you guys, and I plan to just use this for when I cannot sleep at night and I need, to distract myself. We used to have different avenues to control this, but now I've decided, yeah, this is the content that I actively watched back in the day, and this is probably the content that little Koopa needs in his life right now. So, excuse me about that. A little burpy. Some more water. But yeah, it is a wonderful, wonderful day that we have here with us. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to show gratitude to you guys because I don't really often get to do it in these videos. So I suppose we'll start there. We'll talk about perspective today, because I do like going back in and seeing where I've come, and a lot of people really discount the power in that. Our minds really do shape the world. People think the world is actively here to shape our minds, but if you move against the collective, which I understand is a little bit hard to do, we are, if anything, if we aren't anything, so you just pillow out of here. If we aren't anything, we are always collaborators and the makers of relationships. That is how we all get around. We communicate, we develop, we learn through each other, right? So going against the grain is not easy, but if you do, you realize that, yeah, it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite. Our minds do indeed shape the world. Because if you have a different enough mind, then it doesn't really matter what the world says, You can shape your whole world around that thought pattern. And suddenly, it just materializes in front of you. And this is a sort of the hallmark of what manifestation is all about and sort of cooperates with. But you gotta understand that to manifest, that actions definitely need to be taken. It's not all just vibes, as much as it may seem. It's a lot of planning, lining things out, and yeah, a lot of changing your mind, because that is what perspective does, okay? You get a new perspective, it allows you to look at it from a different angle, and oftentimes, because of that, your opinion changes. And that's very powerful. A lot of people know for a fact that something that can just alter an opinion is incredibly powerful. And yeah, I feel like that's what's been behind a lot of these movements. It's just people who think they have these crazy high levels of perspective or empathy. But, let me turn the perspective around on you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine, it's very, very easy when a lot of things are just given to you, nepotism-wise, attention-wise, whatever-wise, that you kind of have to empathetically take on other people's struggles to just feel like you're interesting in life. Because I'm from the outside looking in. I'm not really the kind of person who, has that empathetic reputation as far as their normal, um, like human interactions wise. I'm not really that guy. But what I can tell you is that I do think that anybody can grind the empathy stat. We can all learn to just have a little bit more capacity to learn about somebody else and view the world from their eyes. We can all learn that. It's a skill. Now, I'd say some skills that pertain to this, like customer service, you can't really learn, because customer service is not just seeing their perspective, it's seeing their perspective, knowing how to make it comfortable and catering to that instinct of them to, feed their own ego, get the sale. And I've had a lot of these jobs, and I think I understand why a lot of women don't value guys who generally have service jobs, because it just gives you feminine attributes. Like I said, I'm not of the general type that probably should have this level of perspective, but if you realized in life, a lot of times it's the things that should not go together. Actually, not even from life, but if you realized from the reality of the Koopaverse, it's things that really should not go together that go together. Okay, so I've gone along the journey that many guys have not, and I was somebody who grew up watching iDubbbz. Okay, so anyone can do this. iDubbbz did it. He grew his empathy. You can grow your empathy. It's a stat, man. But I grew up already with having high stat growth in that, so it just automatically welled within me that and I always have to do this with a grain of salt too. It's like I have to constantly be like, okay, maybe maybe you don't, but because there's a certain level to it. I feel like this is what a lot of the SJW social justice warriors miss or whatever. It's like, sure, they can tell you about it, sure, they can explain it. You can even make a live action film about how horrible it is to be this person, but you will never really be there. You will never really experience it, which is why I hate saying things like, I hate saying things. I dislike, I'm not a fan of really saying things that I mean or that I want to say, because a lot of them are just depressing and, suicidal and angry and bitter. That I feel like I'm just creating that story around myself, though. And through somebody else's perspective, they could just be like, what's really going on under the hood here? I just don't understand. They may think that, though, but I will never really know unless I endeavor to build, grow, and nourish that relationship. And every relationship really deserves to be nourished, I think, because you're allowing this person to cooperate and collaborate in your life. And I don't know about you, but there's a stark difference between when my boss yells at me and says, "Why didn't you fucking file the papers, you incompetent twerp?" And then when they're like, "Oh, hey man, I noticed you didn't file those." So how that made me feel was, and one's very much more comfortable for me. And you can probably tell which one is, because it's the one that I actually finished the sentence on. Yes, I know. I'm one of those people. I get turned on by abuse, It activates me a little bit. It's just because it's how I was raised. It's what I'm used to. And it's definitely not what I imagine my ideal, relationship to be. But I need that dichotomy, I need somebody to be mean to me, essentially. Just like I am in my head. Because I'm very mean to myself in my head. Yeah, like, you guys think that I'm coming on here and just showing love to you guys all the time, and my head is gumdrops and rainbows? That's not the way the brain works mostly. A lot of people that are really happy have kind of gone through a lot and are still going through it, basically. It doesn't really stop. It just kind of just get better at hiding it. You get better at shrinking down into a box. And I get really depressed on feelings that I just feel like I can't share. So I really do appreciate the perspective of being like, yeah, if you feel like you can share, then you're probably not in the right place. if it's hard to be honest, you're not in the right place. And so, if we're not honest with ourselves, with our perspective, where we really want to go, then the only choice is to abandon yourself, abandon the old self, so that you can find a new perspective of what you want to be, you know, and just look through that lens. Go first person, and be like, we're just gonna tunnel vision directly to this other person that I want to be. You know, don't speed run it. Don't schizo out. Just be like, yeah, we're moving. We're moving and we're shaking and we're going, baby. And it feels so good. Okay. And this is not like a flick of the switch process. This is not like an on and off switch that you can sort of alter in your brain. Honestly, perspective shifts come from, in my eyes, just a lot of studying, a lot of trust. And here comes that stupid buzzword that everybody hates, but a lot of emotional intelligence. I know, I triggered you. I know, it's terrible. I know, I want to kill myself. Wait, that had nothing to do with it anyways. You just have to feel yourself. You have, whoa, that got a little sexual. You have to, you just have to feel what you're actually feeling. And when I say this, I mean that a lot of people, from their own perspectives, do indeed lie to themselves. They have to jump out of their own shoes in order to see what the truths are. That's how it had to be for me, you know? And oftentimes you don't really even have to probe the people. You just have to think, like, from their, like, standing point, how did that look, you know? I don't know what you said to that specific person. They weren't there for that conversation. So it's like, how does it really look? And yeah, this is both a blessing and a curse that I was always, you know, the guy to think about it, look at other perspectives, because it is something that actively can harm you. Because it's just like those stupid fucking Disney sitcom cartoons where the guy walks by the door and he overhears the boss saying something about, or his friends talking shit about him or whatever. It's like, that's what you get when you step into perspective. It's like you're probably gonna see some shit you don't need to see. Real talk. Just from maybe even thinking about it in a different way. And I think in general we have to come to terms with our own, I don't know, not lack of self-awareness, but our own lack of agency. You know, you got to be honest with yourself and be like, I'm really not trying to change this shit. Because if I was, it'd be changed. Because if I was, I wouldn't have to try so hard. You would just automatically do it. It would just be immediate. It would be automatic. You would have an alter ego that just, it can't stop. It has no choice. You're like Batman at night, you know, working on this shit. Be like, I can't stop because it fuels me. I'm gonna do this with my eyes closed. And if you gain that perspective to be like, this is a long time coming. You know, I've worked very hard for this. Yada yada yada. That you can be okay with basically any outcome. Because with any outcome, in the right perspective, it's going to be a success. And the same can be said for failure, crazily enough, man. That's why we're not designed to take so much stock in other people's embarrassments and plots or whatever. We're not designed for that. Nor should you want to be. We need to get to a place where we're all stable in the ways that we look at ourselves, but at the same time we're open to inclusion, to new versions of what we really want from life. Because I know the main reason why a lot of people are here and delving into video games and whatnot is because we're not inherently satisfied with life. I know that's why I play MMOs. I don't know why you tuned into the MMO sleep playlist if you're not playing MMOs, but I appreciate you here anyways. But if you are an MMO player, you just realize, you know, from someone else's perspective, really looks pretty freaking sad to be just gooning away on an MMO. But from my perspective, I think you're pretty cool. I think it's pretty amazing that in this day and age that we're all able to connect in this way, and that we have a choice to just do this. You know, as far as the world goes, you know, the more choices never hurt anybody, in my opinion. Matter of fact, they aided us. You know, you love to be hurt, right? But in general, I do think that you really need a stable level of perspective changes to be successful in life, because I mean that's just what life does, man. It hits you in the balls, and if you're just gonna take that hit in the balls as what it really is you failing to dodge a ball hit, instead of being like, I'm not gonna get mad at this, it's just RNG, you know. I'm going to look at it at a different perspective and be like, he had a really good ball punching hand. I don't know. This is a weird analogy. I'm a professional at it. They call me Weird Analogy McGee. Oh, Lord. McGee, go to sleep, please. We don't need more weird analogies, McGee, please. Jesus Christ. But you generally have to remember, man, like whatever kind of guy you think you are, it's just not who everybody sees you as, you know? Whether you're a Sigma or a Chad or a Beta or a whatever the fuck these stupid buzzwords are, somebody always got something to say, man. Somebody always got something to tell you, or you should be like this, or you should do this, or blah, blah, blah. And this is why I'm very glad I took up something like YouTube, because before in any other job, I would just do it. I would just give it to them. I would just be like, oh yeah, you want me to do this? Let's do this. Oh, you want me to do it this way? I'm not even arguing with you. I'm going to do it this way. Because I'm just sort of sick. I'm sort of sick of people. I'm sick of my circumstances, and I'm sick of this world, essentially. You know, I will sit in solace and say that some people are good in it for now. But that's the thing, man. It's always a for now. It's always a, you know, you're here now and you may be gone tomorrow, but you never know what's happening. There's never any true... Never really any true just unconditional praise or love or anything like that I feel like comes without the emotional baggage of somebody who has been beaten down and absolutely destroyed as a person. And then it's like, oh, well, of course they're going to give other people love. You know, they have crazy amounts of darkness in their hearts, so it is what it is, instilled at birth. But finding one without the other is incredibly rare these days. I don't think it should be, personally. I don't think it should be. I think we have the opportunity and the, you know, responsibility to have agency over our own lives. I'm not saying that it's your fault if your dad gives you a shitty job as soon as you get 18. But I'm saying you got to do the best out of the moment, man. You gotta have the most fun, the most cool shit, before we are all put down to dust. Because it is coming. It is coming. We all know, you know, we're just kind of put here to die, but a lot of people think it's gonna be a giant cataclysmic event when the whole world implodes. Like the Big Bang or something. I'm over on the camp of highly unlikely. Not that the world's going to end, but that it won't keep just doing exactly what it's doing right now to end. All they're doing is just pushing the goalpost back further and further. And really just annoying people who are there to help the bottom line. And this is why I say I understand why a lot of girls think the retail jobs, the food jobs, or whatever are super unattractive. Not gonna swipe right on that guy. It's because yeah, they teach you to be these catering losers who have no agency for themselves. And sure, I could act like I'm not a catering loser that doesn't have any agency for himself. But there's a reason why I worked a lot of those jobs because I actually like working those jobs. I have a good time working those jobs. So I don't really care what your decisions are. But you got to know that whatever decision you make, maybe either be definitely okay with the consequences or be aware that people see that from a different way, you know? Just depending on what their perspective is. You know, you delete a social media account and people can see that in a million different ways, actually. A million and one different ways can it be corroborated? And do you have to explain? The answer is always no. I think that's another reason why girls often find guys who did the whole retail, customer service, any kind of that job very disgusting. We explain too much. Huge explainer over here. Gigantic explainer. I like to teach people too. Just terrible, terrible trait. Mostly because you can't teach someone who's not trying to learn, and who the fuck wants to learn nowadays? Right? Am I right, guys? Yeah, hooky. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. You gotta know who's willing to change. You gotta know who's willing to look at it from a different way. And at least in my experience, this is hard to sort of corroborate that easily. You know, detect who's down for the challenge. The challenge. The challenge. It's a little bit hard for that. So what you need to do is grow that muscle of discernment. Slowly but surely, you know? If you don't know how, then just, wing it. But always move slow, man. I don't know what that one phrase was or that one saying was, but it was like walk carefully and carry a big stick. I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't even know who said it. Probably like one of the presidents or something. White guy named John, probably. Too many white guys named John, I swear, man. And them motherfuckers always be making history and shit. And it's like, oh man, another white guy named John made history? That's crazy. That's crazy. I did not see that coming. Oh my god, it's another John. Oh shit. But whatever the case, I think a lot of things can come from just exploring a different way to view things. A lot of people are stuck in the same old patterns and ways of thinking. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing to be stuck in a pattern or a way of thinking. But I know for a fact that a lot of you guys don't really care to change it. And that's the problem. Okay? I don't care if you're really good at your pattern. I don't care. You gotta just have the option, man. And that's the thing. I know a lot of you guys play MMOs like this. I know it. I see it. I breathe it. I can understand you don't want every class. I get it. I get it. You don't want every class. I could act like it's so easy to do what I'm doing until the cows come home. It is not. I dedicated a lot of time to it, obviously. About 30 minutes every 2 hours to this shit. And I literally just now started recording it. But whatever happens, we have to have, at least, at the very least, just vocations from every character type, you know? You have to know how to heal. You have to know how to attack or DPS. And you have to know how to defend. And if you know how to do those three things, then it doesn't really matter what your class comp is. But I will say that just looking at things from a different perspective will allow you to get more and more insight on what really matters to you. And if you're lucky, you might get insight on what matters to other people as well. If you're lucky. A lot of us are not lucky. I think a lot of times we delve on that too much, though. It's like, sure, I'm unlucky. Of course, I'm an unlucky guy. It's fine, man. I can create my own luck. I can. And oftentimes, this YouTube journey is so difficult nowadays, and I'm glad I joined now because, who knows how hard it'll be in the future, but I like this level of difficulty. I like what we're at right now because this entire first phase of me just yapping on and on and on is like, it's like one of my best content years. I'm joking. I've only been alive for like 1 year. But anyways, I feel like I'm more of a video quality kind of guy anyways than a numbers kind of guy, but it has been a really great year. I'm just capping on it's the best year ever because of course it's January and I did not even stream January last year. But I do remember about this time last year I had maybe like 10 subscribers. So that is a little bit yeesh, it's a little bit scary to think about. A little bit crazy to think about. I know there are, journeys that I started just last year as well that are coming around to their natural cycles, right? I think it's a beautiful thing. And that's not what I tend to normally look at. So that's a little perspective shift, And it's good to have those perspective shifts. It's like you don't really think about all the parameters of where you came from. You have to look at all of it. What materials did you have? This time last year I was in a completely different house too. I didn't love it. I had to get things ready and whatnot, but it was a whole different area, a whole different vibe. And you got to acknowledge that I'm still happy. I'm still here. That's the main thing for me. I'm still happy and I'm still here. I'm on the earth. I'm on this channel. I'm having fun. And also we are on the MMO Sleep playlist, so I am getting tired, which I'm so happy for. I want to thank you guys all so much. Holy, you've allowed me to sleep. You've allowed me to goon to my own rest, which is pretty incredible. Like I said, I'm just a natural insomniac. It's usually pretty easy to get, a rest out after I, exasperate myself. I goon my juices out. It's pretty easy to sleep, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's not been as easy to get into that mood lately, and I think it's a good thing. It's pertaining to one of the goals that I've had for March of this very year. But we'll get to that when we come across it. I suppose I will probably have to explain that soon for you guys. So look forward to it. But yeah, I noticed that from perspective, you really don't have to try that hard, man. You really don't have to try that hard. And as a matter of fact, you probably shouldn't, because the guy who's trying a lot less is winning a lot more perspective points from basically everyone that you love and value. And you can't deny that a lot of people do say that they love so fully and wholeheartedly and whatever and all this bullshit. It's like me, whatever, but try, just attempt to walk around in the shoes of someone with endless love. And I'll tell you, man, the internal world is not what you'd expect, to say the least. I still struggle to fully understand the concept of love because there are so many different definitions and ways to corroborate meaning through it. But I'd say for the most part, to me, love is action. So, as somebody who doesn't really think of themselves as a person, really, I mean, like, it makes me happier when I act like a sort of vessel. I'd say my robot, my real life VTuber model, my flesh tuber model, is here to serve and simply love. That's about it, And because of that, because my love for the world is so all-encompassing and incredibly powerful, I realize that I kind of just have to check out a little bit. I kind of have to protect my energy, as we all do, man. As we all do. I don't want to give too much, I never do, because I've seen where that pit goes. I've seen where that trial happens, and so I can't really deny the fact that I'm afraid, But Perhaps, the figure is trying to tell us something. Mayhaps indeed. I hope a lot of things get just figured out from this. They may not, but nevertheless, whatever perspective you decide to stick to, whatever your main perspective is, man, know there is a power behind that. Know that there is a power that is changeable, that is reputable, and you have the decision to use it. I appreciate you all. Have a good rest. I'll see you next time.